Welcome to our world. Won't you come on in? Waiting just for you. Welcome to our world.
And we're live.
Oh my gosh. Whatever.
We are live.
All right, whatever. Welcome.
Okay.
Welcome.
Speak.
Okay. Well, what are we talking about today? It's your topic.
It's not my topic. You said
No,
it
it
was
is.
my topic last night. You can't tell me it's my topic at the beginning of after I hit play when I
It
or
is-
record when
it
I haven't
is,
even.
But you already know what we're talking about.
I don't remember.
Yes, you do.
I-
What were you telling me about a couple days ago? What did we have a conversation at the table about?
I told you about a million things a couple days.
We were arguing. You were arguing with Aunt JoJo about
Oh.
this.
Yeah, what was that?
Are you
Just tell
kidding
me.
Is
Just
this
remind
a
me what
sick-
it was. And we said we have
but
to
then
stop.
it feels like it's my
artificial
topic.
intelligence.
Thank you. Okay.
So here's the question. Are we talking about, I think we're talking about both artificial intelligence, including like robots.
I mean,
Because that all
yeah. Well, wherever it
comes
goes
together.
is where we'll take it.
Okay.
So I feel to begin, I feel like you are much more passionate about this topic than I am, which is why I think you should just take this wherever you want to go.
Okay.
And then I will
All right.
give my input.
So
where needed.
here's the thing for me. And this doesn't only apply to artificial intelligence. It applies to probably all technology,
Mm-hmm.
right? I mean, since, well, long before computers even, where you have some people who are very excited and positive, and you have other people who are very like leery and kind of afraid or have a negative. So you have people that have a positive view and people that have a negative view.
Well, yeah.
Okay.
People. I mean, I wouldn't say. Yeah, there are definitely negative views. I would say people that are just more skeptical.
Okay.
I don't think negative. Some people are just straight negative. I agree with that.
Right.
But I think you have people that are like willingly embracing something. So maybe
Right.
that's the more positive side. And then you
Right.
have another group of people that are just like, I don't know about this.
Well, and maybe it's so in general it's two groups, but maybe it's more like
I think
four
it's more.
groups.
Yeah.
Right. Because even on the positive side, so you have people that are like excited about, anything new,
Mm-hmm.
but also very naive about it.
Well, yeah. Yeah.
So if you take someone like an Elon Musk, right,
Mm-hmm.
who's very involved in all of this, he's not negative about it, right? I think he's positive about the potential, but he's also concerned about the downside,
Well, yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Or of the negative of where these things could
So
go.
he's more realistic.
Well, and here's the thing. I don't have an issue with anyone that has that kind of a view. My issue more, and it goes for anything, is someone who has a negative view, but they don't know why,
Right.
right? In other words,
Well-
and this is sort of going to be all over the place,
Yeah.
but
As-
a good
as we
example
do.
is electric cars, right?
Mhm.
Like some people, they talk about the bursting into flames and all that kind of stuff, and they do this based on a meme that they saw, or
Well, yeah, based on a meme or based on, and I'm not saying one specifically, but seeing on the news. If
Right.
if the news is talking about how one single Tesla car burst into flames,
Right.
that's all they talk about.
Right.
And so if you're watching the news that day or whatever,
that.
wherever you get your news, then it's
Yep.
like, well, Tesla,
Well, and that's the
well,
thing.
well,
if you
okay, go ahead.
if you spend no time doing any research
your
on your
own
own, like
research.
you have no interest on that, but you're negative on it. So all you see that day, or all you see that week or that month, is that one report.
Mhm.
Okay, then it's like that feeds into the what is it called? Confirmation bias, right?
Yes.
So here's the thing, right? Like in that case, how many cars, right, are in accidents every day
Right.
that people die in because now granted, okay, they were hit, they were in an accident, but they burst into flames.
Right.
Okay. They literally have an explosive, a tank of an explosive material, and nobody thinks anything of it. right? They just drive around like all happy, fat, dumb, and happy, as they say. Okay.
Like the people in Wall-E.
And they are, yeah. And they're driving around because if they would walk, they probably would be thinner. But anyway, that's another episode.
Oh my God.
But I was going to say, we shouldn't get too much off on that subject because then we're talking about electric cars versus artificial intelligence.
No, I don't want to talk about electric cars.
Yeah. But to me, I think, okay, there are some people, and it can go both ways, who, I think the thing that bothers me the most is uninformed people. Okay?
In life, you mean?
In general.
Yeah.
Like take, a little bit of time, put down your iPhone or whatever and just take a little bit of time to learn without someone spoon feeding you information.
Well, that's exactly the issue. Not to get off on this subject right now, but I think if you try to tell people that they're not well informed, they think that they are. They think, and I'm not talking about any specific person or specific news station or anything like that, but if you have something on in the background all day, you in your head are thinking, I am a well-informed individual. I have had the news on all day. And so I know, everything I need to know about this subject because I listened to the news. We have a cat. Well, this will be a separate episode, I guess. Yeah. There's a cat that we have in our house that is jumping all over the equipment right now. So that's the
don't stand on my computer. Don't do it. Don't do it. Get down. Come on. Mm-hmm. Yeah. I'm gonna push you.
Okay.
Down.
Anyway.
Come on.
But no, not to get off on that thing, but I think those people, I would argue, they would think that they are well informed when they're not actually.
And that's why, the best thing to do is just to tell those people you're an idiot. Okay, because I think that gets their attention.
We are not. We do not endorse that. Do not tell anyone they're an idiot.
Okay, you just imply it with a sarcastic comment.
I think.
Something.
Okay, so then what? Why don't the people that are not as excited about the potential of AI? What are the reasons for them besides the fact that they're just generally uninformed? Why are they not?
Well, so I think, like a lot of people, for instance, there's so many different reasons, but one reason is because people are afraid that they're going to lose their job, okay?
Right.
Or there will be fewer jobs. Now, where AI is at even today, it could take the place of many, say, call center / customer support / help desk type positions. There's, it's not perfect, but it's getting really good. And again, this is a case where if someone calls for some kind of support, technical support, customer support, whatever.
Yeah.
And the AI gives them an incorrect answer.
Yeah.
That will be highlighted, right?
Well,
it'll right. And how many times every day? The way this happens. You have to call a company for support. Let's say for your cell phone, you call Verizon or AT&T because you have an issue. And first of all, it takes you forever, maybe for someone to even answer to get to the right person.
Right.
And then it's kind of like just a luck whether or not you get a person who can actually help you, who knows what they're talking about, or someone who's just reading off a script.
Right.
And it's very frustrating if you get that person who can't help you. You know more than they do, and you can tell in the first 30 seconds of the conversation, right?
Yeah. Well, I think my issue with this is, which we've talked about this before, like, okay, so an AI would maybe make similar mistakes that a real person would make, maybe make less, like fewer mistakes in general. My issue with that specifically is that if I'm calling, for me, it's always nice to know that the person on the other end has the potential to empathize with my issue, because an AI can't empathize, right? And so an AI can do the job, but if I'm, I can't think of a great example right now, but if I'm like getting frustrated, with Aunt JoJo, she has calls sometimes. People are just like crying to her on the phone.
Right.
And so having that human aspect in some roles, I think is really important because, I mean, and I don't know, I haven't seen anything about this, but like, so what happens when you have an AI that takes a job, you know, like that, like a customer support in anything, in like healthcare, whatever, and a person's just crying on the phone.
Yeah.
Does the AI have the
think-
ability to like even pretend to empathize? Obviously, they can't.
Yeah. I don't know if it's there quite yet, but it's close. And here's the bottom line: it will be, right? Very soon.
It will.
And I'm not saying.
But my point is,
it's pretending.
It's the illusion
Right,
of empathy,
right.
and that's not what I want. In that moment, I want actual empathy.
So here's the thing: I think they need to do. When you call, and you get that first, I hate to say person, but you get the first, say AI answers the call.
Okay.
It should kind of, like if you call and someone answers the phone, an actual person, and they say, "Hi, this is Brian, with AT&T, whoever, how can I help you?" Right?
Right.
So it needs to announce that it's an artificial intelligence.
Well, yeah, it needs to make it clear.
Agent,
yes.
Right? And I think probably in that very first initial introduction, it has to say, if at any time you wish to speak to an actual person, okay, press whatever key, or let me know.
Here's, yes, I agree, and I think that is a great.
I'm trying. This is an experiment. Go ahead.
I feel like you're going to get really annoyed, and your voice is going to
so.
cut in and out. He's trying to change his mic around.
Don't tell anyone.
I feel like, well, they have to know. They're going to hear all these weird sounds from your chair as it creaks backwards. I feel like, what did you just say? I forgot already.
That the AI should announce that it's an AI and ask.
Yes.
Yeah, give you an option.
So that's a really good idea and something that needs to happen, in my opinion, for transparency purposes. But you were already talking about issues with real people, which is, first of all, you don't know how long it's going to take for them to answer. So I'm thinking about, and this is, no shade to older generations, but I'm thinking about people that I know that if they're calling a customer support and they hear, even just hearing the automated voice at this point, where it's like the automated operator voice saying, press number 1 for this person, press number 2 for this. I know people that either just like spam 0 to get to an operator, or don't even listen to the options and are just like, operator, I want to speak to an operator.
Right.
Or like however they say it. Well, and so my point is, yeah, that's a good idea. But if you are already lowering the number of actual human customer service agents you have, you're just going to get a bigger backup because there are going to be so many people like the people that I'm thinking about that refuse. Well, not even the second it says, "Hi, my name is Brian. I am an AI assistant here to help you today. Like, what can I help you with? I would like to speak to a real person."
But I think people have to start. Okay, everyone's familiar with the current state of automated attendance.
Sure.
And they're not very good, right? Up to this point, they're not very good. But, even now, I mean, the ones that they have now are better than what they had 5 years ago. But I think over the next year or two, you're going to see they're going to improve so much that I think what's going to happen is a lot of people, and don't get me wrong, I agree with what you said. Older people are just, they're not going to want to do it. They're always going to want to speak to a regular person.
Mm-hmm.
The ironic thing is the AI will be good enough that you wouldn't know it wasn't a regular person, except for the fact that it's telling you it's not a regular person. Right.
And so that's the only point that I'm trying to make, is that no matter how much better it could even be, it doesn't matter. And I'm not even talking about like the voice assist, the thing you have right now, like the automated whatever.
Automated
that could get better. It could not. I don't care either way.
Right.
But my point is, no matter how good AI gets, there will always be some people, and not even just older people. I'm sure there are a ton of like younger people that just don't trust AI or don't care about it or whatever.
Uninformed people.
Yeah, well, yeah, maybe. that as soon as the phone picks up and someone says, my name is whatever, and I'm an AI assistant here to help you. And even, at that point, if they're like, would you be more comfortable speaking to like a human person or whatever? Yes. I feel like there's so many. I wouldn't care. I'd be like, sure, go ahead. What are we doing today?
Well,
but
I think part of the thing is if you can at any time just say, can I speak to an actual person?
Yeah.
Okay. So in other words, I agree with what you said. A lot of people immediately will just be, no, I want to talk to a regular person. But I think other people may, and as time goes by, I think this number is going to increase. They may be willing to at least try the automated AI, the AI. And then if they feel like they're not getting anywhere, then they'll ask to speak to a regular person.
I think you're thinking about yourself and other people like me that are willing
to try it. But I think over time that number will increase, though, is all I'm saying.
Yeah, I mean, maybe it's kind of like the other day when I mentioned we were talking about this and I said about the curve. I can't remember what it's called, but like the adoption curve of new technologies, where you have like early adopters, you have like, I don't remember all the things, and then eventually everyone gets on board and it levels off and all that.
And here's the thing too, like you were talking about, okay, the number of actual humans.
Right.
So you figure people have always complained when they have to wait. Okay. Like long before they had like self-checkout lines at stores, people still complained that there weren't enough people working the registers, right? So my point is, no matter what you do, people are going to complain about that.
But they're right
let's say right now, and I have no idea what this number is, but we can pick a random company. There's some random company, let's say that right now they have 100 people that answer phones for their customer support. Okay. Let's say after implementing AI for their customer support, they can reduce that number down to 10. Okay. Now, and we could talk about the whole implication of people losing their jobs and all, but I'm just talking about the customer experience here.
Sure.
All right. So let's say when they had 100 people, if the average wait time was 5 minutes. Okay. Once they implement AI, there's not really a limit other than the number of, it's not even phone lines anymore, but more like the bandwidth. Okay.
I'm going to stop you right there.
Well, let me just make my point first. So let's say now there's no wait time. Okay, like you're speaking to an AI, but there's no wait time, so you can potentially get your question answered much more quickly. If you say I want to speak to an actual person, now there are 10 people. Yes, you're going to go into a queue. You're going to be on hold for whatever. It could be a minute. It could be 60 minutes.
Well, and so that's what I would like to point out is that, I mean, first of all, I know you're just talking about a theoretical thing right now. There's no way you could go from 100 to 10, no matter how good the AI is, right in the beginning. Because what I'm saying is, I'm not saying it's not good enough, but I'm saying, especially in the beginning, there are going to be people that do not want to talk to AI for whatever reason, okay? And as soon as the AI says it's an AI, then they're like, I want a real person. And so in the beginning, the initial, I know, but I'm just saying, so the initial, this is the way I see it. The initial answering of the phone happens instantly. It's an AI. One ring and you have an AI. Perfect. So you've now cut the wait time for the initial answer from 5 minutes to 0 minutes. I'll agree with that. But the percentage of people, maybe I'm just being really negative about this and basing this on like things that I've seen and people I know, but the percentage of people that will immediately want to speak to a real person is, whatever it is. I'm not going to try to pretend I would know the percentage there. And so then the secondary wait time to get to a real person, instead of waiting 5 minutes for that initial person, you're now waiting 15, 20 minutes to talk to an actual person.
I'm not disagreeing that may happen, but if that happens, it's not the AI that's causing that. It's the management at the company that's causing that. And that would be completely wrong. To me, if there's currently a 5 minute wait time on average, I would want there after implementing AI, I would want the wait time to speak to an actual human to be no more than that, and ideally less, but definitely no more, right?
Yeah, but
Now, you know what companies are going to do. Hold on. You know what companies are going to do, right? Companies are going to purposely make that wait time longer. They're going to make it almost like painful if you want to speak to a real person. And the only reason I know that is that's what they do now. They currently do that.
So you were talking about that's just poor management, and that companies
Right.
wouldn't let, or because they make that happen now. But like that reflects poorly on the company. So why, if they have AI and they're making a big deal about having AI now and like it'll make things quicker and more efficient for everyone if you choose the AI route and all that, there's no way that you can say that as a company and then have a 20-minute hold time to talk to a real person.
I think if they say that, oh, it will make things so much more efficient and all that, they're saying that just to try to get people to use the AI.
Well, yeah.
I think realistically, like, let's be honest, the real driver for them to do this is to save money.
Right.
Right? They want to reduce their costs. Hopefully, in the end, you get better answers. Not initially, but like eventually, hopefully you get better answers. You get quicker customer support. So hopefully, as time goes by, customer support would improve. But I don't think management, I don't think they get in a meeting in general and say, okay, our main goal is to improve our customer support.
No,
Okay?
I don't think
everything starts with the bottom line and how much money we can make.
I know. I don't think they do that either. Actually, I know, having worked for multiple companies and I haven't been at like, the base meetings like that, but having been at meetings similar to that, yes, that is certainly not what they're talking about. But how do you make more money? I mean, there are a lot of answers to this. Obviously, cutting costs in general is a good one, but you also make more money by keeping your current customers, retaining them, and then getting new customers. How do you do that? But if not with a high customer satisfaction rate. So I'm just saying it's like a giant...
You have a short term and a long term.
Yeah, exactly. So it's a part of it, not because this is very cynical maybe of me to say it like this, not because they actually care about you or me or anyone, but because they have to, because that's literally what makes them money.
Right. They can't, right.
And this is a whole different topic we're about to go into. So I
know.
My question for you is, we're talking about the AI, cutting maybe human people from 100 to 10 using AI. Realistically, based on your knowledge, because you watch a ton of stuff about this, you're always looking at stuff about this. What does the timeline look like that? How many are we talking, like in a year, in 5 years, 10 years, in a month? What, like, I have no idea.
I think it's just like, it's a question of how quickly companies adopt this. I think it's not, like, there are some companies, right, that are rolling all this out, right? Now there's constant commercials and that's the big thing, right? But they still have to be really careful, because just like ChatGPT, you can ask it something and it will always sound like it has the answer.
Yeah.
And the majority of the time,
fake it till you
it's
make
right.
it.
Yeah. But there are times when it's just dead wrong, like for instance, like math, sometimes simple math problems, right?
Yeah.
Or if you ask it for so I guess the thing is, that's where companies have to be very careful. The last thing you want is where someone gets on a call with your AI customer support and gets in an argument, and the AI customer support starts calling them names, or you know what I mean? So companies have to be very careful about that. So I think it's not something that's going to be widely adopted like in the next year.
Right.
But it's not like 10 years out. I think it's going to be a gradual increase over the next few years, next 3 years.
But so that's what I'm saying. At what point, when at what point will it be a regular thing, in your opinion, that I will call customer support for any company,
Right.
and I will get an AI?
The funny thing is, right now you call and you get what can sound like an actual person, right? It's not, maybe with some companies it is, but most companies it's not AI, right? It's literally an auto attendant with interactive voice response where it can understand somewhat, at least, what you say, but it's not, it's looking for specific words.
Yeah.
And it kind of responds back. I think I heard you say, that you want the so that's here right now. I'm sure there are companies out there that are currently testing legit actual AI, and maybe some that have implemented it at this point. But I think in the next, I'm going to say 2 years roughly, you'll start to see where it's just much more widespread.
Yeah.
And the thing is, it will be gradual though. So, I mean, what you said before is a good point. Okay. You're not going to go from 100 people down to 10 overnight. It'll probably go, especially when they do a pilot, maybe they'll replace 10 of those 100 with AI. And then just like they grade actual people,
right,
they'll do the same thing with the AI. They'll see if it gave a bad, they'll probably have initially like a supervisor monitor the conversation.
Yeah.
So that if anything goes off the rails, they can jump right in there and, before things get really bad.
Yeah.
So I think that'll happen like within the next year. I mean, it may be happening already, really. But yeah, so that's kind of what I think. But once you get, I don't know, 5 years out, I think it's going to be pretty mature. And there are going to be,
it's kind of scary.
Well, it is. And again, I don't want to keep going back to the Tesla self-driving or something like that, but that's a good example. Same thing, just like we were talking about batteries bursting into flames.
Right.
When you talk about accidents, okay, if anyone has their Tesla on autopilot and there's an accident, even before it's officially known exactly what happened, that's like one of the top stories on the news, right? Yet, how many accidents do human drivers have every single day? Fatal accidents that it'll maybe be the top story on the local news, but how many across the country? How many times did that happen across the country and you don't hear about it? So, just like with self-driving, right? It has to be not as good as people. The AI will have to be like significantly better than people.
Yes.
It will have to give the correct answer like 90% of the time, or 9 times as much, I should say, as people would.
So I agree with that. And I think that's a very good point, and something that probably a lot of people don't even think about the fact that AI won't be, I don't think it would be. It shouldn't be. And I don't think it would be in full use in these places until it's at the point where it's, so much better than an actual person would be helping you. But when you were just talking about the cars, I was thinking about how the stat, I don't know the actual numbers, but the stat that it's safer to fly in a plane, obviously, than it is to drive your car like every day. And I don't know, but just because we're talking about this, when do you think we will have self-driving planes? Go ahead.
Okay. I don't know.
I just thought of that while you were talking, and I'm kind of like, that's actually a pretty cool concept, but also really
it's the same thing. I mean, think about it. Well, it's not self-driving technically, but if you talk about like things like drones, I mean, there's not someone, I think typically, and I don't know, I haven't watched a lot or read a lot on this.
There is, it's a remote control.
But well, yeah, but there's not someone with all of every one of those drones literally with a joystick
You can't convince me otherwise.
No, I think, they say, here's a starting point, here's the ending point. Like if they're bombing somebody with a drone, I think they're not, I can't imagine someone with a screen, like a video game, sitting there with their joystick, flying around looking for Osama bin Laden and then,
Okay.
But the funny thing is, if you think about it, I'm guessing this is an educated guess.
Okay, because you're informed.
That's probably much simpler than a self-driving car, because you don't have things like road work,
right?
Like construction taking place, and you don't have traffic lights and stop signs and yield and all that. You just have things flying all over the place, and you have to watch for other.
That's a very good point. I think, the most complicated thing when I think about flying, the physics of flying and everything makes sense to me. So when I think of flying, the most complicated thing is like the grid, just that, the planes have to be on separate routes and so far away from each other and all of that. Like that's terrifying to me, but they've already figured all that out.
Yeah.
And so, I agree with you. I think that's an interesting point, is that there's probably a lot less that would go into that.
Which means it would probably be safer, right?
Yeah.
And well, think about it now. When all these, SpaceX rockets that are going up like every other day, practically now, they're by and large, they're completely computer controlled, right? So the same thing. There's nobody on the rocket. There's nobody steering the rocket. It just has, programmed. And I'm sure there's AI involved with this, but where it's starting, where it has to go, when it has to, like the payload, at what altitude it has to deploy the payload, at what point or at what altitude or how many seconds into the flight stage 1 separates from stage 2, and then stage 1 of the rocket, comes back and lands.
Yeah.
And that's all. It really is, when you get right down to, kind of like AI, right? Like it's looking at the pitch. I don't know all the terminology with this, but it's firing the engines again at the right time for the landing burn, right? And it deploys the landing legs, and it adjusts the what do you call it? Well, whatever. It adjusts the engine so that it can straighten out the rocket so it's landing vertically, not like at a 45-degree angle and crashes. So it's almost like, here's the funny thing. Would it be safer today, not even say, in a year or 2 years, would it be safer for everyone today if every plane was autonomous? You got on the plane and maybe there was a pilot there kind of just in case or whatever, but for the most part, he's just along for the ride. And I don't know. Yeah, I guess another question is how much of the flight, when you go on a regular passenger plane, how much of the flight is it the thing on autopilot?
That's true. That's an interesting point too.
I just watched a video last night of this woman that got her pilot's license, and she would, I don't know if it was a YouTube channel or some other social media, where she would have videos of the flight and all that. And this was a dark video, because here she just recently crashed. Her and her father crashed in a plane, and she died. And the contention from this guy was, and he wasn't saying it in a, I don't know, non-caring way, I guess you would say, but was because she was more concerned about, seemed like her YouTube channel or her social media than actually flying the plane. Like she didn't even, like when the Garmin unit, I think that was I guess built into the plane, she turned it off by accident. She didn't know how to turn it back on. Like there were clearly things that she just didn't know how to do. He showed the flight of how she flew on one of the recent flights, and like she turned the wrong way, and she had to turn back the other way, and she wound up going in a complete, almost like a 360, and like it just looked like.
did she get her license?
Well, that kind of was a question, is how was she able to get her license? And it's sad because she wound up that she died. But anyway, that's getting completely off the subject.
You tell the most depressing stories.
Yeah.
This is the most depressing. Okay. Anyway.
Yeah. I don't remember her name.
All right. Well, I don't really know how to follow that.
Well, I guess no. Getting back on the AI thing. So we're talking.
Very sad. I'm going to think about that for a while.
And I mean, we can talk about this more. We don't want this episode to be too long, but
this is probably going to be 2 episodes, I think.
Okay.
Because there's something else I want to talk about.
Okay, because I was going to say, so far we talked about pretty much one aspect of AI, which was customer service.
Yeah.
Right? And that's a pretty straightforward thing. I mean, and I don't mean that to denigrate like people that do customer service. I'm just saying you're not talking about, like we haven't talked about robots, for instance. We haven't talked about someone that's, say, like assembly line work or even things that are beyond that.
All right, everyone, stay tuned for next week.
Yeah, or programmers. Programmers are going to be, it's going to be a thing of the past. I say that as a former programmer.
I'm glad you brought that up. It is really... It is really warm in here. It is really warm in here, especially for someone like me.
I'm live.
Who is wearing a house coat.
No one told you have to wear a house coat.
I put it on because it was really cold.
Hold on, I have to take my pills.
All right. Well,
please.